By the year 2157, the world had been divided not by borders or ideologies, but by the Obsidian Network, a shadow organization that controlled the flow of information, wealth, and power. Governments were puppets, corporations were pawns, and citizens were data points in Obsidian's vast neural web. Their reach was so profound that even speaking the organization's name could invite a fate worse than death, erasure. In a world where secrets were currency, Cassian Voss was a master thief. Known as the Wraith, he specialized in stealing data from the most secure servers on the planet. For years, he had made a living selling corporate secrets to the highest bidder, staying one step ahead of Obsidian's enforcers. But when a job came across his encrypted feed offering an obscene amount of credits for one last heist, Cassian knew it wasn't just another job, it was a death sentence waiting to happen. The target was the Vault, the central hub of Obsidian, buried beneath the Arctic ice and guarded by layers of impenetrable security. The mission was to extract a data shard containing the location of the Beacon, a fabled kill switch rumored to be capable of dismantling the Obsidian Network entirely. The client was a ghost from Cassian's past, Eris Vale, a former operative turned insurgent who had once been Cassian's partner before she disappeared 3 years earlier. "I thought you were dead," Cassian muttered as Eris's hologram flickered to life in his safe house. "I might as well be," she replied, her voice tinged with bitterness. "But if we don't take down Obsidian, the world as we know it will be." Cassian studied her face, searching for signs of deception. He had trusted her once, and it had nearly gotten him killed. But the fire in her eyes hadn't dimmed, and against his better judgment, he agreed. The heist began with a drop into the frozen tundra, where Obsidian's drones patrolled the skies and seismic sensors monitored every inch of the ground. Cassian and Eris moved like shadows, cloaked in thermal dampeners and sound-nullifying suits. The entrance to the vault was hidden beneath a glacier, accessible only through a hidden submersible dock. As they descended into the icy depths, Cassian couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the hum of their equipment. "This place gives me the creeps," Cassian whispered, his voice barely audible over the comms. "Focus," Eris snapped. "We're running on borrowed time." The vault was a labyrinth of cold steel and flickering lights, its corridors patrolled by autonomous sentries and neural-linked guards. Every step was a calculated risk, every corner a potential death trap. Eris led the way, her movements precise and deliberate. Cassian followed, his mind racing with contingency plans. They reached the server room without incident, but the hardest part was still ahead. The data shard was stored in an encrypted core, accessible only through a biometric lock tied to Obsidian's top operatives. Eris produced a stolen access chip, its surface etched with the neural imprint of one such operative. "This will get us in," she said, plugging the chip into the console. The core hissed open, revealing a crystalline shard pulsing with streams of data. Cassian reached for it, but the moment his fingers brushed the surface, alarms blared. "Damn it," Eris swore, drawing her plasma pistol. The walls came alive with sentry turrets, their barrels swiveling toward the intruders. Cassian's reflexes kicked in, and he dove for cover as the first volley of plasma fire scorched the air. "We've got company," he shouted, returning fire with a compact railgun. Eris worked quickly, extracting the data shard and slipping it into a secure case. "We need to move. Now." They fought their way through the labyrinth, their path lit by the fiery glow of explosions and the cold, blue flashes of plasma bolts. Cassian's heart pounded as they dodged drones and disarmed traps, the shard feeling heavier with every step. But as they reached the extraction point, their path was blocked by a towering figure clad in Obsidian's signature black armor. The operative's face was hidden behind a visor, but his voice was unmistakable. "Hello, Cassian," the man said, his tone dripping with mockery. Cassian froze. Talon had been his mentor once, a legendary operative who had taught Cassian everything he knew. But when Cassian had turned his back on Obsidian, Talon had been the one sent to bring him in, or kill him. "You should have stayed in the shadows," Talon said, drawing a blade that shimmered with energy. Cassian clenched his fists, his mind racing for an escape plan. But before he could act, Eris stepped forward, her weapon raised. "Go," she said, her voice steady. "I'll handle him." "Eris, no, go." she shouted, firing a burst of plasma rounds that forced Talon to dodge. Cassian hesitated for a fraction of a second before turning and running. He hated leaving her behind, but he knew she was buying him time. The mission came first. The submersible dock was a blur of motion as Cassian boarded the escape craft and powered it up. As the vessel plunged into the icy depths, he activated the shard's decryption sequence. The coordinates for the beacon flashed on the screen, along with a chilling revelation: the beacon wasn't just a kill switch. It was an archive of every secret Obsidian had ever collected, every deal, every betrayal, every crime. Exposing it would bring the entire network crashing down, but it would also plunge the world into chaos. As the craft surfaced, Cassian's comm crackled to life. "Cassian," Eris's voice came through, weak but defiant. "Did you get it?" "I got it," he replied, his voice heavy with guilt. "Where are you?" There was a pause, and when she spoke again, her words were laced with finality. "Don't look back. Finish the job." The line went dead. Cassian's chest tightened, but he forced himself to focus. The coordinates led to an abandoned orbital station, hidden in the debris field of a long-forgotten space war. It was a perfect hiding place for something as dangerous as the beacon. Reaching the station was a race against time. Obsidian's forces were closing in, their drones tracking his every move. But Cassian's years of experience served him well, and he evaded capture long enough to dock with the station. The interior was a tomb of forgotten technology, its corridors choked with dust and silence. At the heart of the station was the beacon, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with a faint, otherworldly light. Cassian approached it cautiously, his neural interface syncing with the device. The data unfolded before him, a cascade of secrets that could shatter the world. But as he prepared to activate the kill switch, a new message appeared: "By destroying us, you become us." Cassian hesitated. The message wasn't from Obsidian, it was from the beacon itself. It warned that exposing the secrets would only create a power vacuum, one that could be filled by something even worse. For the first time, Cassian questioned his mission. Was it better to let the world live under Obsidian's shadow, or risk plunging it into chaos in the name of freedom? His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Spinning around, he saw Talon, battered but alive, his weapon at the ready. "It doesn't matter what you choose," Talon said, his voice cold. "Obsidian always wins." Cassian clenched his fists. Not this time. The two men clashed in a brutal fight, their skills evenly matched. Blows were exchanged, weapons discharged, and the station trembled under the strain. In the end, Cassian managed to disable Talon, leaving him unconscious but alive. Turning back to the beacon, Cassian made his decision. He didn't trust Obsidian, but he didn't trust Chaos either. Instead of destroying the beacon, he encrypted it further, hiding it where no one could ever find it. As the station began to collapse, Cassian escaped in a stolen shuttle, disappearing into the void. He knew he hadn't won, not completely. But for now, the world would go on, and Obsidian would remain unchecked. In the silence of space, Cassian vowed to keep fighting. Because even in a world ruled by shadows, there was still hope for light.